Episode 4, let's do it. Boom, here we are,
Welcome back, everyone.
back in the park.
Yo. It's kind of a gloomer, but it's kind of a bright gloomer. if
It's a
that
bright
makes any
gloomer,
sense.
that's why we need sunglasses anyway.
That's right, man.
Is that a thing in California where just need glasses every day?
Every day,
Sunglasses.
outdoors and indoors.
Right.
It's a must.
It's a must. You know, there's something about your sunglasses, like wearing sunglasses, like so prevent you to get UVs right next to your eyes.
Right.
But the fact of like having a UVs rays going through your eyes signals your brain to protect your skin.
Interesting. That's
So there's a
crazy.
research that says that when you wear sunglasses all the time, you're more likely to have cancer skin.
Skin can't. Oh
Skin
my
cancer,
God,
yeah.
that's so crazy.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah, because you're not getting your eye nerves aren't getting the message.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want people to know what my eyes look like, unless they really know me. So there's like characters in cartoons and anime that always have sunglasses all the
Yeah.
time, and like not in a single episode you don't ever see their eyes.
Yeah.
And I always thought that's kind of cool.
You guys will never see your eyes.
That's
ever.
right. Oh, you just might have seen mine, but
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, just now.
just wipe that from your memory, like Men in Black style.
Yep. So what's the question we had last time?
So yeah, we ended the last episode with we were talking a great deal about minimalism and how people don't have to go minimalism and put the label on themselves, but it's a great idea and very rewarding to do some kind of decluttering. So, that could mean organizing your space, donating things that you don't use. And that can also go into the digital side of things too, and subscriptions as well.
Yep.
So anything that does not serve you in any capacity should either be, organized differently or given to someone who will use it.
Yeah.
So hopefully everyone got a chance to give a little think through on how they can do some kind of decluttering. It is springtime, so, spring cleaning.
It's the right time to do it.
Yeah, now's the time.
Now's the time.
So I was doing, I talked a lot about my physical space of decluttering all my furniture, donating stuff, and
Yeah.
I gave my bread maker away, which was really cool.
Really?
Yeah, my neighbors, they were like, yeah, we'll take it. So I'm
Okay,
like,
cool.
yep. So
That's a good gift. Like,
It's
that's not
nice.
something you would like buy. It's still first need.
right, people
But I
don't think about it.
It's pretty cool to have and make your own bread and everything like that. I think it's a cool thing to do.
Yeah,
I mean, unless if you don't use it right,
I haven't used it in a long
Yeah.
time, so I was like,
just gotta go.
yeah, exactly. Save some counter space.
Yeah.
So what I really have been decluttering, and this will lead to something kind of funny. So I've been doing a lot of digital decluttering. So I was sorting through a lot of old photos, getting rid of old videos and photos, just saving space on the
Yeah.
Amazon cloud and such.
Mhm.
And I found pictures from 2017 and 18 from when I met Will,
Oh.
which was our hardcore band together,
Yeah.
Edge of Despair.
Wow.
And I was looking at the pictures, all of our promo pictures,
Mhm.
which were, they all looked roughly about the same. They were black and white, and we were all kind of in hoodies, kind of
Yeah.
like serious looking, very
Hardcore kids.
hardcore, But I'll share one that's absolutely hysterical. So I think I was like brand new to the band,
Yeah.
and the leader of the band had an old picture, and this was for promo. So it had you, the guitar player himself, and then for me, it was the body of the old bass player, but they superimposed a picture of my face, and
What?
my face was not serious looking at all. It was like this.
Yeah.
Here, I'll take my glasses.
Wait,
It was literally
wait.
like that, and it was the funniest thing,
So
dude.
they
I laughed
basically
so hard.
Photoshop you into the picture.
Yes, and,
I
and
don't-
very poorly, might I add. The picture was square.
Yeah. I don't remember that.
Oh my God, I'm gonna send it to you.
Yeah.
I laughed so hard for such a long time, but I was, and that like was the image that like everyone decided to like put up. Hey, we're a new band, Southern California. It was so funny, dude. But I wanted to ask, since that's our origin of our friendship right there is from that hardcore project.
Yeah.
do you still listen to heavy music? Does it still have any significance, or has that kind of changed for you?
I love this question.
Yeah.
I love it because I think it was yesterday when I was thinking about this. Actually, I don't listen to any kind of punk or hardcore, any aggressive music.
Interesting.
I stopped listening to that. I think lately the most aggressive music I've been listening to was the band POD.
Oh my God, we are.
Stuff like that. Yeah, and not for like maybe like 2 songs.
Right.
And but I'm not into. I don't vibe with it anymore. I kind of force myself to not listen to it at some point. I was like, no, don't do it, just because it would put me in a pretty angry mode.
Yeah.
And I just didn't need to like bring that in my daily life.
I know precisely what you mean, and
So-
it's nostalgic, and it's like, oh yeah, there's all this stuff that I used to listen to, but when I listen to it for a while, it actually makes me angry.
Yeah.
It actually makes me like kind of ruins my day almost.
Yeah.
You know, so I completely understand that.
Well, yeah, it brings some very heavy energy.
Yeah.
So no, I don't do it anymore. I just never do it.
Right.
What I would do, maybe the most aggressive music I would listen to would be like hip hop.
Right.
So something very funny too. I grew up. The first artist I ever like loved as a kid, I was so into it, was Tupac.
Oh well, yeah, that's amazing. That was your start.
As everybody else, you just like listen to that for hours nonstop, on repeat, and sing it along. Even though, because I'm French, I wouldn't understand what it would say.
Sure.
Beside the F word.
Yeah, exactly.
I would get that, but
even
the B
beat
word
slaps kind of hard.
The beat's so amazing. His flow was just like
effortless,
crazy,
so cool,
so good, and even the music was amazing too. Like it was very different than what they do now. But my point is, I listened to it again, like maybe last year. I got a phase where like I want to get into Tupac.
Listen to the old school. I've been doing the same thing.
And it was like, this is so violent.
It's really, really heavy.
It's very heavy. It's got so much hate.
Yes.
Like so much hate. Even though, that guy for me was a very positive guy.
Right.
But the movement behind so much hate towards his hip hop opponent, right? It's somehow, to me, it was just very so much, this like throwing so much hate and wanted to kill everybody, or I'm gonna destroy you, whatever. So much hate upon the cops and all that stuff. I understand why, because that the environment they came from, it was so brutal. Like a daily basis was hard for them, to go through that, and that that was their media and outlet to be able to express themselves.
Yes.
And I created this amazing culture, which is hip hop.
Yeah.
And rap music.
Yeah.
But in a way, I went back then. I was listening to that every day.
Yeah, that's gotta put you in an odd headspace. It puts me.
Yeah. So this is why I think now I feel like sometimes I feel like I like to pretend I'm a gangster. My attitude,
right?
Like kind of like F everybody,
sure,
F the word, or all that stuff. You're like against, rebel. Being a rebel. Pretty much.
It's fascinating, man, because hip hop is when it's really like out in the open. I think that was a truly rebellious time like that, because it was like the first of when it started. But even before that, I remember being in a jazz appreciation class in college, and it was fascinating. I mean, I've been a long-time jazz fanatic, so I just loved it from beginning to end.
Yeah.
But what was very interesting was the teacher was showing some of this kind of the artsy, more nouveau kind of side of jazz. And it wasn't always pretty. In fact, there was a lot of times where it was very ugly.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody commented on that in the class who's not very used to jazz. She said, "Oh, this doesn't sound very good." And the teacher said, "Well, you got to think of the times and what the situation was for all of these artists. It was a time of racism and oppression, and it was and drug addiction, and it was just so ugly."
Yeah.
So it's like art, you know. Sometimes,
Well, this is why America has such a great culture in music,
yeah,
such a strong movements, so many strong movements. Is because of the harshness of everything of living in the U.S. How hard it is, you know, that creates so much pressure and tension in people's heart. That this is why culture is so strong, and they want to, you know, they use that to express themselves,
exactly.
you know, and you see, can see like the way of living in different countries too. For instance, in Europe, where I mean, in France, we don't have this like strong rock music.
Right,
Like
right.
everything hardcore come from the US.
Yes,
It
we're
comes
the
from
edgy
it comes
ones.
from here. Hip hop comes from here.
A lot of American metal.
Yeah, this progression of, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Even like the blues, you know, blues is
Oh
just,
yeah.
it was born here because of the this crazy hard time people would go through, you know,
Yes.
slaves and all that stuff.
Sure.
So this whole thing, like very violent environment,
Yeah.
created this, you know,
Gave birth to so many kinds of music.
exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
which didn't happen to other places.
Yeah, it's fascinating too because I think emotions run on a spectrum, and it's important to acknowledge every emotion, whether it be happy, sad, angry, and all of that. And art of all different forms does a good job of doing that.
Yeah.
But a friend of mine said this perfectly. You know, if you're a metalhead, or it is an example, if you're a metalhead and you want to show somebody metal, you have to tell them first, hey, this is going to be pretty heavy, but I want to show you this. It's similar to like cooking food for somebody, and saying, if you don't tell them that it's really spicy, they're not going to be very happy. They're going to be unpleasantly surprised. Yeah. So you gotta, you know, it's good to acknowledge all different emotions, and music does a good job of that. But you have to be careful because it can ruin your headspace. It can change an entire day.
Yeah, I think it depends how sensitive you are and how being able to have, you know, a perspective upon what you listen to or what you are consuming.
Right.
Making sure that when you listen to something, you don't get caught in this emotion that becomes you. Like you don't embody it too much.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Because like we were saying earlier, like it's so easy to get angry when you listen to like I don't know, metalcore.
Yeah, and I'm a metalcore and deathcore guy, and sometimes I just need to put it on for 2 seconds.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, I have an itch I need to scratch.
Yeah, definitely.
But don't overindulge, because then you'll just kind of be angry for half the day. Yeah, and all the little small annoyances will be exponential because you're kind of in this angry headspace. But you know, on the flip side of that, and I am not a Christian, but I will put on worship music because it puts me in a very good headspace on a drive. If I have a long drive or a busy, hectic schedule, a little bit, it just makes you feel so good.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. I think it just brings, it's the same thing, it just works with emotions.
Yeah.
And it brings the right emotions to feel vulnerable and then good about everything around you. Like release attention, don't judge anything, just like let it go and be like open up.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Exactly. It can't be so bad, even if it's bad, because you have a good tune in your head and the vibrations from that song carry into you.
Exactly.
You know, so that's music, or you know, anything that's a sound is so powerful in that way, because it kind of echoes in your mind for longer than the duration of the track.
Yeah.
You know,
definitely.
Do you ever have that happen to you when you're on a run or you're working out, for example, and you don't even have earbuds in or headphones in, but you keep hearing the song over and over in your head?
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely. Yeah.
So it's funny.
Yeah.
It lingers.
It does linger. It's like if the vibration would just continue within your brain somehow. It just keeps going in the back of your mind.
Exactly. So
it exists in your mind still.
That's right. So Yeah, so it's fun, but yes, when we were younger, all of that stuff was so shocking too. All of this heavy music with the F-bomb, and saying all this really crazy stuff. But I mean, even Eminem has said like, "Yo, this is not like my real life. I'm just telling a story, and I'm just telling a really crazy story because people, when they hear rap music, they want to hear some crazy stuff." That's how he got so popular. He rapped about really crazy stuff that made him look like a psychopath.
Yeah, that was like disturbing.
It's very.
And then somehow we have something within us that kind of like it.
It's like, this is edgy.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a way to make us feel alive somehow.
Yes.
You want to feel things. So if you feel like a music that just like triggers a few emotions within you that are never triggered in your daily life,
right?
And
you need something that resonates with that. If you're feeling sad, a sad song does kind of feel good sometimes.
I wonder if dopamine has a role into that too.
That's super interesting.
If music triggers some dopamine.
Right. If it just is the same frequency that you're vibrating on. I'll tell you, this is one of my favorite South Park scenes, and it's such a small scene, but I don't know if you know the show very well.
Oh,
you do? Okay. So Butters, who's kind of like, not very bright. Hey, fellas. So he's sitting on a curb, and he's crying, and it's pouring rain, and he's crying. And Stan had just joined like the goth kids, that group of the goth kids. So they all walk up to him, and Stan's all gothed out, and he's like, "Hey, Butters, you okay?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, no, I'm very sad because I just had this breakup with my girlfriend." And Stan was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool. You're sad now. You want to join us? Want to join the goth?" He's like, "No, I want to sit with this sadness because it makes me feel alive. I mean, I'm happy that I have this sadness happening to me right now. It's part of life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna be a goth kid over it. I'm gonna sit with this and let this I'm doing this right now."
Mm-hmm.
So that was a very, very cool scene. It's like, you can have all different elements to your character and everything, but you're still you.
Yeah.
You don't have to change anything.
Well, I think it's a very good point here, that we are not our emotions.
Yes.
And I thought of that too. I want to say that to a friend the other day. We were talking about anxiety and everything. So it was like, I'm getting very anxious in life because of that and this.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to mention that to him, that you are not anxious. You are experiencing anxiety.
Right.
So that's the first step to trick your mind and be like, I'm not this thing.
Yeah.
I'm just experiencing it.
You're just experiencing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not even your thoughts. You're just experiencing them.
Yeah. So you really detach yourself from. You don't identify to it.
Right. That's so powerful.
And that gives you so much control over it in the end. If you don't do this, you are embracing whatever you're experiencing and feeling, and you just lose control of it. It can be anything at this point. So I think it's something very powerful that I think we should remind a lot of people about.
Yeah, it's really, really important.
Yeah.
Because there's lots of times where you're fearful of something, you're anxious, you're sad, but you would never say, "Oh, I'm Mike, I'm the sad boy, I'm the sad guy."
Yeah.
It's like, no, I like right now I just have a sad moment going, but it's all a moment, and it's all very ephemeral. It just comes and goes.
Yeah.
So.
And in the other way, you can use it as embodying something that you want to become.
Right.
If you run, you can tell yourself, "I am the run. I am that run that gives you energy you become the run." So you break down resistance from running. You're not someone's trying to run. You're someone becoming the run.
Right. Yes, you are. Right now, you're doing run. You're doing running.
Yeah.
That ties into something pretty critical I wanted to talk about today. So thank you very much.
Do it.
So this is a very, very simple question followed by an even simpler.
By the way.
You knew? No, nobody knew. So basically, it goes like this: how do I do blank? Simple.
Yeah.
You become the person that can do blank.
Yeah.
How do I run a marathon? You become the person that can run a marathon. Now, it's a very simple answer, but there's a lot of detail that goes into that. And it's on the physical and on the mental and on the spiritual side of it.
Okay.
You know, so how do I run a marathon? Well, you got to become the person that can do running and build that confidence in yourself by consistently doing it,
right?
Because it takes a long time to get there. Your whole body has to get in shape, and your breathing has to be correct, and you have to be aware of your breathing, and you have to be aware of the chatter in your mind as well. You have to be aware of what goes on during your runs, and be able to control that all the way to 26.2 miles. And that takes a ton of time. You know, it takes on average like 8 months of training.
Wow.
So if you're going from sedentary,
I thought it would just take you like 8 weeks.
Well,
that's why I always
that'd be a terrible marathon.
That's why I always fail to that.
Right. No, it definitely.
No, that's crazy.
Yeah, so it's like, and I want our listeners to think about that. What's something that you've always wanted to do, and ask it in the form of a question. How do I do, fill in the blank? How do I write a book?
Yeah.
Become the person that can write a book.
Yes.
You gotta first be very impeccable with your word and very articulate.
So how do you shift your identity to that? Do you have like tools or tricks you would use for that?
A lot of it is your mindset. We have a lot more answers inside of ourselves than we lead ourselves to believe. But of course, outside of that, we have the whole infinite world of research that we can do.
Yeah.
But if you want to be someone that can, how do I read 100 books in a year? Well, start reading. And start simple and read 5 pages a day. Commit to that.
And so you're saying like you got to become someone who reads 100 books every year,
right?
And would it be like a good way of like to become that person? Before even starting, would you have to ask yourself, how do I become this person?
Right.
And what kind of habits do I have to do? What kind of environment I have to step in to be able to become this person? Right?
Yeah. And what do I have to do with my time? Everyone has 24 hours, and we sleep for a third of that. Yeah. So we really just have 16 awake hours, and there's people that are achieving unbelievable feats that are, in the not even 1%, let's say 0.5%.
Yeah.
And then there's everyone else who's got hopes and wishes that haven't done these things yet. And I'm certainly, no clever than anyone else. I'm certainly guilty of a number of those things. But it's like, how do you do that? How do you get into that mindset? What kind of space do you need to allow yourself? Can you provide for yourself a more quiet space for 15 minutes a day?
Yeah.
To just ponder the idea, to meditate on it, to do it.
Yeah.
So yes, it's a very short question and short answer, but it's a forever kind of a thought. It's a never answered fully question.
Yes. Yeah.
You're constantly, trying to figure out better answers.
Yeah, I think this is what we were talking about last time, that we always have to ask the right questions, but we will never find the right answers. The goal is to always have better and better questions.
Yeah.
And never get to the answer. Like you were talking about this guy who's like, he's got a bag of questions.
That's
and
right, the comic.
He's got a bag of answers.
And he's like, oh, that's interesting, I guess.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, what do you mean? And he's like, well, this is the good stuff right here.
Yeah.
Because, and that's the great thing is as you, not to dismiss answers, but as you come up with some of these answers for right now, they're going to sprout out some other questions, and it's just going to get more and more interesting.
I think, I'm pretty sure it's Albert Einstein.
Right.
Who said something like in the lines of, if I had 1 hour to solve the problems of the world, I would spend like 50 minutes finding the right questions.
Right.
Finding the right question to find the right answer to solve the problems of the world.
Figure out what those questions are.
Yeah, it's all about having the right questions, and that leads you to exactly what you need to know to solve anything in life, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, getting back to like, how do I write a book? Well, you got to be the person that reads enough, and if there's lots of words you don't know, then have a dictionary near you. You know, and then also become and this is an interesting challenge to myself, become a faster reader that also retains more. Because here's what's happening.
That's my
big
issue for me. I can read a lot of things 10 times in a row. I'm like, I have no idea what I've read.
So it's a very interesting thing. I've been very into speed reading lately, which sounds counterproductive for that, because it's like, okay, if you go fast, you might miss everything.
Right.
What is actually happening is that our brains move very, very quickly as we're reading. And especially if we're trying to like speak the words in our mind as we're, you know, that's not a good way of going about it, because our mind gets bored. It's too underwhelming for us.
That's my main. You solved one of my main issues right now. No, it's crazy.
It's underwhelming.
Yeah,
your brain is too smart.
Overwhelmed by reading. It's like, I need to process all these words, all these, you know, syllables, and
force yourself to do it a little faster. You know, if you're reading an actual physical copy of a book, take a pen or take your finger. It looks silly because people are like, "Oh, are you like an elementary schooler?" And you know, like old school teachers will tell kids not to use their finger when they're reading.
That's something you would do at first,
No,
but then after, you're gonna be someone who doesn't need your finger to
if you watch some speed readers, like some professionals, they go like this. And people will ask, "Are you actually reading that fast?" Yes, I am.
Wow.
So
why do you think we have to use our fingers?
Because our eyes can very easily, you know,
it directs your eyes.
It directs your eyes. That's the only reason right there. So it's just something, you know, to help it like that. So that's really cool. Before even getting to that, what's a great tool that I've been using, and you could do it on your computer or on a phone, there's a free app called Spreeder, Spreeder. And you can upload, write this one down. Write it down. What you can do is upload PDFs into it, and you can adjust. Essentially, it'll have like a blank screen, and by default, it'll just like show one word at a time at 300 words per minute. So it'll be like that.
Oh wow! Okay.
And so if that starts to get pretty easy, then you can do groups of 3 or 4 words moving at 450 words per minute. And it seems like it's going very, very quickly, but you'll be pleasantly surprised how well you retain.
I gotta get that.
Do it. So that is a super big game changer right there. And that trains your mind to read faster and retain better. You know?
So to retain better, you just have to practice this way?
Yeah, you have to practice, reading faster.
And so you gotta force yourself not to process every word.
Yes.
But just to like have a vision of it, and just sit and then pass
exactly
to the next one.
Just like how we're doing in our conversation right now. We're not thinking about one word at a time.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing as musicians. We're not thinking about really one note at a time.
Yeah,
we're thinking it in larger, not even maybe paragraphs, but like larger couple sentences at a time.
Group of data. Like we need to all these data is like combined in one group.
Yep.
You can have from 5 pieces of data to like maybe
it's the underlying idea behind it. That's the core of what you're getting to by reading 2 sentences.
And so
don't get hung up on a couple words.
Right. So you jump into, once you start to understand the pattern of reading or whatever kind of information you're digesting.
Yeah.
So by seeing the first 2 words, maybe you understand the rest of the sentence.
Right.
And that, because for me, just to make a little story related to that, my mom was always impressed of how many songs I would be able to learn as a musician.
Yeah. How do you do it?
And she was like, "Yeah, how do you remember?" And my answer would be like, "I don't remember it." As soon as it starts, as soon as I hear the first note, the first chord, or whatever it is, the first thing that comes in the song, I would just know the rest of it. But if you asked me before, you tell me like, oh, we're gonna play like Zion, we're gonna play that song.
Yeah.
I would be like, yeah, I would need to concentrate and to remember the song.
Right.
But I wouldn't have to do it. I just have to be like, oh, give me the first note of the guitar, and I know exactly how it goes after that.
Right, just that little starter, that little kindling.
Isn't it fascinating to me? I mean, to me, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
So I guess like for reading as well, it might be working this way too.
Yeah, our minds are a lot like AI, a lot like ChatGPT. It's like, you start off with one thing and these branches like a tree just kind of.
You just gotta make sure you direct it.
Yeah, properly. Exactly. Yeah, you gotta channel it, and you gotta focus it, because it is a wild animal. I'll tell you, this was my very first lesson with my great saxophone mentor in college. This was lesson number 1. Didn't even take the instrument out of the case for the first couple of minutes. He writes this on the board: energy follows thought.
Yes.
Energy follows thought. There's always going to be energy. And if the thought is not there, then the energy will run wild. That's all that means.
Yeah.
But there's always energy. So if you put the thought there, it's like the steering wheel while you're driving.
Yes.
You have an aim. You can channel it.
Yeah.
But the energy is always there. Can't squash it down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Energy follows thought.
I love that.
Yeah. So that was lesson number 1. And it's like, anytime I would make a mistake, oh, I can't do this. I forgot that I have to do that in measure 40. Energy follows thought. What were you thinking? Were you thinking about that? First he's asked, did you do that? Oh, I wasn't sure. I wasn't thinking about that. Well, you weren't thinking about that. Yeah. Energy follows thought.
You know what? I think this is the foundation of everything we do in life.
Yeah.
Everything. Because from that we get the outcome we've been focusing on.
That's right.
And like if you want to try to do a deadlift.
Yeah.
You cannot think about the burger you're gonna eat after that.
Right.
you gotta focus on every step, and of course you do it over and over, so you have to have the habit to do it properly.
Sure, muscle memory kind of kicks in, but you gotta focus when it's your first couple of times on what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
To lift it off the ground.
You gotta be every single rep. You gotta be so focused and present, and and thinking of what you're about to accomplish in the next second.
That's right. And it's very dangerous, not just in saxophone playing with my lesson, but it's dangerous to not have that thought there sometimes.
Yeah.
That consciousness.
Yeah.
So, but things are still going to happen, and it's not going to be the way you want it unless you're deliberately putting that aim there.
So, to resume that thing, energy follows thoughts. It's your intention, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. And, that goes on, I always talk about with The Slight Edge, that book that I love so much. And it's not just that your physical activities or any of your, things that you come back to compound over time. It's also that the thought concentrates over time on that. The more you focus and the more you think on something while you're taking the steps to do it, that's what's going to make it grow exponentially. And that's what's going to get you closer to your goals. Is the constant thought on it.
Yes. So you were emphasize intensity on that specific thing.
And all that energy is going towards what your thought is aiming it towards.
Yeah. We said that our eyes are projectors. We project energy through our eyes.
Yeah.
We're just not receiving the information, we actually project it.
Right. Exactly.
And then it ties down to quantum physics when they say that this things right here, this sort of thing exists only if we observe it.
Ah, right.
So as soon as you don't observe it, it doesn't exist anymore.
Exactly. Out of sight.
Yeah.
Out of mind.
Yeah, here we go.
Out of sight, out of mind. That's why when you put your junk food away in your cupboards and you hide all that, you don't think about it. Because it's not in your vision.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah. That's why I never buy more than one protein bar.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
If I buy 2, I eat 2.
They're making them too delicious these days, man. I could eat 9 of them.
I know. I find a recipe to make us think that's healthy when it's actually
Oh yeah.
one is okay, but if I don't know, you
Don't
cannot
overdo it because it's got sugar and fat and salt and stuff.
out of sight, out of mind.
Out of sight, out of mind. And on that, you know, your eyes are the projector thing. I forget who it was and what TED Talk it was, but there's a guy who is saying that focus is kind of like a little laser dot.
Yeah.
And you can put that laser wherever you want to. Mm-hmm. And when you're watching a television show or a movie, if it's a good director behind it, they have control over that little laser dot.
Yeah.
They're the one that's saying, okay, you're going to look here now. Okay, you're going to feel this emotion now. They're in control. 100%. That's how you know it's a good film.
Yeah. It's, what's the word? Hypnotizing.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is hypnosis.
Basically, you kind of don't fall asleep, but you are not as aware.
You have to invite it in, though. You have to be open to that that lower.
So you're becoming more receptive to any kind of message.
Right.
I mean, yeah, we know that. We all.
Oh yeah, exactly. I think a lot of people are on autopilot in that realm, and they're being, you know, suckered into all kinds of stuff. There's ads on social media for stuff, and it's like all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I do want to buy that.
Yeah.
You know, so people.
Isn't it crazy how you really feel the need to buy something? You feel like, yeah, I have to have this thing.
Oh yeah.
Because I can use that for
in
this. In the moment, yeah. You would think, yeah, maybe I'm gonna need it.
Right.
Maybe I will get better if I get that thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's terrible, the amount of manipulation, man, but it's so insidious.
Well, that's why we gotta focus on the right things and then cut off all that junk thing.
Yeah. Cut it out. And yes, that's so we, you know, and what would you say, how do we improve our focus? How do we improve that little laser exactly? I mean, it's just, you know, consciously doing it could be one thing, but
well, I think
eliminating distractions.
It's your environment, you know, same thing for habits. It's your environment, what you have around you, who you talk to, what do you allow, you know, on your phone to be. Like if you have all notifications on,
then you're gonna be distracted.
You know, but these are the basic things. I think the most important thing is so first you like have all these practicals, you know, things to check and be like, no notification.
Right.
Don't watch TV. Don't pretty much don't watch anything.
Yeah.
Only things that you can learn from. So, but first you need to go. You need to be like, oh, I want to be that kind of person. So that kind of person doesn't watch the news. That kind of person doesn't watch stupid stuff on YouTube.
Right.
Or limit your time to like maybe 30 minutes a day of YouTube and stuff like that. And these are all practical stuff.
Sure.
The actual work to do, I think for me, it's train your, like working out, train your focus. So train your mind or train yourself to have power over your mind. And the best way to do that is through meditation.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah. I mean, it's people like still don't do it. I don't get it. I mean, today it's a must. I just did a meditation at work. I wake up pretty much like very stressed out all the time.
Sure.
Because of all the things I'm trying to do and pursue. But I woke up and sat down in meditation until I feel better. And I feel like, oh, everything is fine. Oh, I feel lighter. Yeah. And most of the time, I have all these tensions in my upper back and neck that just being released and, you know, slow down. Everything like feels like smoother and easier, and I'm happier, and then I don't react much to things, you know. I think it's essential work for me is meditation.
Yes. I think focus is a muscle that you have to work out, just like any other. And the way to work it out is meditation and things that have a meditative quality to them.
Yeah.
And I think you're certainly not alone by saying you wake up in a stressful mindset, because me all the time, you know. I mean, also it could just be because of a very weird dream or something, you know, or just, you know, knowing that you have a huge day ahead or some stressful thing coming up. So it's very, very common. But I think a lot of people will try to diminish that with a distraction.
Yeah.
They'll try and just like pull up the social media on the phone, or they'll try and just like kind of look for something funny to just kind of get them out of that. But the real source of it all is you're never going to get rid of that unless you work on that focus muscle.
Yeah.
And you do that through meditation. Now, let me ask you, when you meditate, are you doing the traditional where you sit down on a cushion and you think of nothing, or what's your...
So I don't try to not think about anything. I first focus on my breathing. I sit down, I try to stay erect, and think of my breathing, feel my body, especially right here.
Yeah.
I try to really bring my attention more downward.
Right. Relax your upper body.
Yeah, relax everything. So and then try to control the thoughts. I think it's the same like we were just saying, like bring your attention within, relax your body, and feel every breath. Yes. Just by doing so, you'll be amazed how your thoughts are not going to bother you much anymore.
Right.
And at some point, everything comes down. And then something I've noticed is like a sign that you get to like a good point that what you're doing works.
Yeah.
You get thoughts not of the day or yesterday or around this time, but thoughts from like out of nowhere.
Right.
Like really random thoughts, like a memory of like something there's no way you can remember that, but it just shows up somehow.
Suddenly it just jumps in your mind.
And then that's a good sign.
Yeah.
I never talked about that, but it's actually something very powerful. When that happens, it's a very good sign that you're doing a great job. So you stay in this state and try to stay there.
Right.
And at some point, you notice how it starts to have space in between thoughts.
Right.
The thoughts comes in, and for like 1 or 2 seconds, nothing's happening. And when you start noticing that, same thing. It means that you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And at some point, just like everything can like shuts down,
Right.
And it depends how far you can get to into that state, but where it feels you become less flesh, less matter, and become more of energy. Is when you can't hear your breathing anymore.
Right.
So you don't even feel your breathing.
Right.
You don't feel the air coming in. It just happens. Everything like is so quiet.
Yeah.
Even you can hear the sounds around you, but everything is very quiet.
And it's amazing that that's everything that your own body and your own mind is capable of.
And that requires like commitment.
Yes.
And most people don't
venture in that far.
Well, no, because they think, I can't do it because I sit down for 5 minutes. I'm like, I'm anxious at this.
Sure.
Because they're reacting to
their
it.
Thoughts.
They try to control it.
Right.
Don't try to control it. Just focus, bring your attention inside of you, and then on your breathing, and that's all you gotta do.
Let it go. Yeah.
And one day it's gonna be a boom.
Yeah.
You're gonna be surprised.
That's so cool. I love it. it. Now I'm inspired to get into a couple minutes of meditating. Just make that a regular routine, because it's control. It's control over your own thoughts and everything. And I do feel like if you have a weak focus muscle, then a lot of your thoughts that come in are heavy and they take up too much space in your mind for too long, and they're not just a thought anymore. It's an actual reality. So you gotta have control over that and let them come and go.
Let it go. Let it go. There's no point to control anything anyway.
Exactly.
And that's why I think having this relationship with the creator is important too, because you really let go of your what you think having control over. Because every time you like focus too much on like, I want this to happen this way, and starting to get frustrated when it doesn't happen your way, you create so much resistance to it.
You're going down the wrong path. It's really, really not good.
Yeah, exactly. And you get more frustrated, angrier, and then everything goes wrong, and that creates so much stress within your body.
Yes. And so that's a good thing that made me think of a Stuart Wilde quote is anger and frustration over like what you can't control, those are all just contradictions of the ego's opinion.
Yes.
Over this is how I think it should be. No. That's wrong.
100%.
Just accept. If it's raining, go and be with the rain. It's okay.
Yeah.
And so that goes back to, I'm still not doing completely cold showers, but when I want to do a little cold immersion after a workout, rather than reacting to the cold when you set it cold, I tell myself, feel. Just feel. Yes, it is cold.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do about it?
And your greatest way to approach this is to focus on same thing, your breathing.
You're breathing. Don't breathe fast.
What I do is you breathe slow, deep and slow at first. Really and then when I go into the cold water, I exhale. And what you see, you exhale out strongly and focus on this, and the cold water you don't really sense the cold water much.
No, you just feel it on your outside.
Yeah,
it's
like you were saying, you don't really react.
Yeah. So that's so powerful, and yet you're still sitting there. The water hasn't gotten any warmer.
Yeah, no.
You've just taken control. Inside.
Yeah.
That's so unbelievable.
Yeah.
And if you can do that for any hard challenge in life, man, you're pretty unstoppable. You're pretty tough.
Yeah. It's a ending journey.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always going to be this kind of work. But I remember the other day we were talking with some friends, and that fellow was talking about how to stay neutral about everything.
Right.
When it goes down, try to don't react. When it goes up,
don't react
either. Just stay neutral and ride the wave of constant state. Right.
There's a quote that I love. Nothing is as good as it seems. Nothing's ever as bad as it seems.
Yeah.
Right in the middle, and enjoy the good, and be sad when it's bad. But don't react crazy when something good happens.
Yeah.
If you get a viral video on your social media, don't get so caught up, don't get swept up in it.
Yeah.
And if something devastating happens, still stay the course. Still, so nothing's ever as good or as bad.
Yeah.
It's just neutral.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's good stuff.
That's how you become powerful. And like you were saying, it's like a muscle.
Yes.
You gotta train that every day.
Yeah.
And that's why meditation is so good for that too, because it puts you in a state where you gain more power over that.
Yeah.
Over this up and down.
One of the best things about doing any kind of discipline where you've gotten to a noticeable improvement point, like for me, earlier this year I lost a good amount of weight and I got really healthy, and things like that. Mentally, clarity, I'm a lot better too. You reach a point where you don't ever want to go back to old ways of anything because you've worked too hard to get there.
Yeah.
I don't want to, of course, there's lots of temptations to go eat junk food and stuff, but then I say, no, not even for one day. I've worked too hard to get to this place that I'm at, and I love this place that I'm at now.
Yeah.
And it could be the same thing for meditation and being on that journey. I've worked too hard to overindulge in an hour, 2 hours of social media binging. I don't like the way that makes me feel.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
You got to focus on how it makes you feel.
Yep.
That's the reward here.
Yeah.
That's the real reward.
Yep.
That's when you know how to direct yourself and to take the right decisions or not.
How's
to pay
feel?
attention to how you feel.
Yeah.
And the moment you overwhelmed by this, what would it be like when you see something looks very good and it's so bad?
Sure. It could be a bunch of things. It could be social media scrolling, or you want to eat dive or a huge piece of pizza, exactly,
a big whole
pie of pizza. Yeah. Oh my God.
When you see that, so you want it, and I know at first we don't have this reaction, but we don't think about how you're gonna feel afterwards.
Right.
But if you train that every time, you're gonna be like, oh, actually, if I eat that, I'm gonna feel like crap.
Yeah.
So, and then the moment you bring that feeling of crapness, you'd be like, it doesn't worth it.
And so and some people
It loses value right away.
Exactly. And some people don't know that on the other side of pizza is feeling like crap. So sometimes, unfortunately, people do have to experience that once, that little setback. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, we need
that's like, oh, that didn't make me feel good.
That's what the 20s are for, made for.
Yes, exactly. And even earlier than that, I mean, this is what's fascinating, and I hope that there's a solution to this, but Louis C.K., the comedian, mentioned something like this. When we were in our elementary school days, I mean, in our era and everyone older than us, there wasn't like social media and there wasn't so much online bullying, you know. Right. So when we said an insult or something not nice to somebody and we saw their reaction in live, in real life, in real life time, that doesn't make us feel good. The feedback is negative. Oh, don't say that to people. That's not a nice thing.
Yes.
But there's none of that when you like share it on someone's like Facebook or whatever, because it's just like, oh, I sent that.
Yeah.
Felt good. It's so there needs to be a solution for that. But we need to fail enough times to realize that's not the right way of going about it.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
Not to put a negative spin on pizza or anything for pizza enthusiasts out there.
Well, I love pizzas. Who doesn't? Who doesn't?
Have a slice. Have a quarter of a slice maybe if you want. But but it gets to a point, just like we were saying, if you've like worked really, really hard and you've never felt this good before, just know what's going to take you there. And what's going to take you a different direction.
Yeah.
Anything that you do, one slice of pizza won't kill you, but 9 pizza pies, a day for a couple months, that's a big exaggeration, but, a lot of pizza every day for several months will mess you up.
Yeah, for sure.
Compounding.
Of course.
Yeah.
But, I think it's all about also using our dopamine rush. I think dopamine rush can be used in a way where you are working on the reward of keep yourself feeling good.
Right.
So how can I emphasize the fact of feeling good of not eating that pizza?
Right.
Since saying like, I'm not eating this, so I know I'm gonna feel good. And like in 5 minutes from now, I'm actually feeling good.
I'm glad I didn't do that.
Yeah, you gotta emphasize this. I'm like, oh my god, I feel so good.
Right.
Not having eaten that pizza right now.
Which is not easy to do because it's like, it's hard to tell your own mind like, don't do something and be happy with the not doing.
Yes.
Because we don't process like negative, like if I say don't think about pink elephants, what are you thinking about? Pink elephants. So it's hard to like be satisfied with a don't do kind of a command for yourself.
I don't think you can really.
Right exactly. So what do? Do you say be happy with salad? Be content,
be happy
with the leafy
with
greens,
how you feel after.
Yes. Check in with how you're feeling.
Be happy with that decision you made.
Exactly. Focus on,
and that can be your reward as well.
Yes, exactly.
That can become stronger
the lightness
than
in your stomach and the energy that you have from not having this heavy thing weighing down inside of you. So that's a hard thing to focus on, but if the focus muscle is properly flexed, then
for sure
you're in a good place. So to our listeners, what are you going to put your focus muscle on this week? That might be a good question to conclude with.
Definitely.
And it could be meditating, it could be reading, but what are you gonna set your focus on? Because energy does follow thought. Your energy will always be there. But if your thought is on, something that's a time waster or something that's unproductive or harmful, your energy is going to go straight to that. So what are you going to focus on?
What do you focus on? And yes, I think you said it.
And how will that make you feel?
How what?
Well, this is how you asked last time. Is how does that make you feel?
Oh, how does that make you feel?
How does it make you feel?
Yeah.
After you focus on what you want to focus on.
Yeah.
With your thought.
Yeah. Here we go. I love it. Awesome, bro.
Thanks.
All right.
Very cool.
It's a good one again.
Yes.
let's wrap this up.
Yes.
And great conversation. I hope you don't want to eat too much pizza right now.
Yeah, don't eat too much pizza, man.
Think about how you're gonna feel after not eating that pizza.
I love pizza. No.
Well, that's something too. I mean, we can say I love pizza. So trying to not say it.
Yeah, don't say that.
Don't ever say that. If you want to like stop something, I think it's very important to not put ourselves in a bad position where
word is bond. Word is very powerful.
It is.
So I love feeling good. I love
feeling amazing. I love feeling. I love knowing that I take the right decision for myself.
Yes, I love having control, and you know, doing what's best for myself.
Yeah.
Cool.
There you go.
All right, my friends, that was so fun. If you enjoy what we're doing, hit the like button, subscribe, and tune in for next time. Have an awesome week. Hope to see you again soon.
See you next week.